Hi, my name is Karina Ramirez,
My name is Rohelio Ramirez.
and we teach marriage prep for the Hispanic community, and we are also leaders of the Hispanic community choirs. We've been together for 15 years, got married through Colorado 15 years ago, but through church.
We've only been married about 3 years.
So we're newbies. We've only been attending St. John's about 6 years. We're, you can say, new Catholics. Although we were born in a Catholic family, we were never really raised practicing our faith. So we're only been practicing faith for about 6 years.
I grew up in Longmont, yes, I did.
And I'm from LA, so I've been here 16 years. Yeah, within a year here, I met Roy, and
It was actually, I got involved in church first. After a separation, I started coming to church, got involved in a choir. 2 years passed, and then Karina came along and she started joining church.
I joined almost 2 years after Roy did. The first time I attended Mass, I remember seeing a lady headed up to the altar to do a reading. And immediately I remember leaning over to Roy and say, I want to do that. And it was funny because I don't enjoy reading. I'm not the type of person who grabs a book daily and reads. I don't know why. I felt like I needed to do that. So that was the first ministry that I started as a reader. And then I joined Roger in the choir. And then 2 years ago, we started teaching marriage prep to the Hispanic community. We'll do it in English in extreme emergencies. But only in extreme emergencies, the Hispanic community is where we focus more, since it's where we practice our faith more. In my case, it's a mixture of couples. So some have been living together far longer than Roy and I have. Some are engaged couples, and some are about our age. So we have a little bit different stories, different backgrounds, but we can almost relate to all of them. And it's so much fun and joy to share our experience with them, so that the couples that are currently living together know that they're not the only ones that have ever gone through that process. The couples that are engaged, we're able to help them prepare a little more for what's coming, and it doesn't hit them as a surprise like it did to us. And the older couples who can be our parents, we learn a lot from them too. They've been through a lot what we have been through. So it is a mixture of everything in marriage prep.
For me, it's kind of the same thing as Karina, sharing what we went through, our separation, the mistakes we made, what got us there. I guess since I joined church, I felt this pleasure in my heart by helping others, something that I've never experienced in the past. So that feeling to be able to help other couples, give them knowledge that we have, that we've learned here at church, that is so satisfying to do that. Well, we'll start with me.
We'd been together for 15 years. After 10 years of marriage, we went through a very painful separation. As we were not part of the church, we had to kind of learn the hard way. We had nobody to teach us what a marriage should look like.
I was sick with a spinal cord tumor. For a long time, we couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I stopped working for 2 years, and Karina was the only one working at the time. So that put a lot of stress in our relationship. At the time, we didn't understand what was going on, how to handle certain situations. Financial problems led to arguments and discussions, and then eventually separation.
Yeah. So like Roy said, we were separated for almost 3 years. And within those 3 years came God into our lives. Roy was able to experience God's grace first. Even though we were separated, he started praying for me and asking me to come to church, to bring our kids to church. And eventually something snapped in me and I said, I want this, I need this. And so I joined church almost 2 years after Roy did. I did all my sacraments, as I had none of them other than the baptism. And it's been quite a journey since then, because we had 2 kids at the time. Now we have a new baby boy, and then I'm 5 weeks away from having our 4th baby. And it's been great. It's been great to have God in our marriage, in our life, to teach our kids the faith overall, because we knew and we know we didn't want them to grow up like we did. God was good to us and gave us a second chance, and we got married through church after almost 3 years of being separated after 10 years marriage. So that is a little bit about our story. I think the Hispanic community is very blessed because we have a lot of ministries. There's a women's group, there's a men's group, then there's the charismatic group, which is like the biggest group here at St. John. I mean, you can expect over 200 people to meet every Friday night for that group. We actually started there in that group when we were separated, and we were able to receive a lot of love, a lot of help, support, healing overall. And then they have all these retreats, there's mass, there's prayer groups. There's a lot more than people think that just a Sunday mass. So we are very blessed to have different groups for different kind of people, for different kind of situations. It helped us a lot in the process of coming into the faith, and we've seen a lot of people and heard a lot of testimonies of people who have been helped through different kind of ministries throughout St. John. We always want to help. The Hispanic community always wants to help. We don't always have like the material, maybe like the money wise to help, but you always have the will, the hands, the labor, everybody who wants to support the church, the priest, the whole community in general. If you're ever looking for anything, the Hispanic community is going to do whatever they can to help out the church and our priest here. I think a little bit of it that we struggle with sometimes, a little bit the barrier is the language. And I don't know that there's anything that can be done. Luckily, right now, we have 2 bilingual priests. So that has helped tremendously to unite more the Hispanic community with the church, with everything that goes on in the church. So I think language was a big barrier, maybe still somewhat, but due to the fact that we currently have 2 bilingual priests, and like you said, Father Humberto being very interested in uniting everybody into just one big community, has helped a lot.
Language is the biggest barrier, for sure. In the Hispanic community, we have, people get shy a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are not very outspoken, who are very shy, and just don't feel, too comfortable sometimes with people they don't know, especially if they can't communicate. But, like I said, due to the fact that we currently have 2 bilingual priests, I've seen a lot of improvement.
But like Karina and I speak both languages, we have a great community. We've gotten to know wonderful people. The thing is that we get to see that because we can interact, there's not a barrier. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't have that opportunity, but I think once we start breaking the ice, like Father Humberto and Father Daniel have been doing, I think things should be a little smoother. My favorite saying is San Francis of Assisi. When I went through my illness, somebody gave me this prayer, and I wasn't involved in church, and it was his prayer. You know, I kept repeating it over and over. And when I got involved in church, there's a song about him that I unconsciously started singing, and I feel a deep connection with him, his humbleness and everything.
Yeah. For me, I would have to say it's I have a couple, but I want to say Mary Magdalene is probably one of my favorite saints. I feel very inspired by her because she went through Jesus through the whole process. You know, she never left his side, and it motivates me to never want to leave Jesus. You know, I always think about how she was with him, all the good and all the bad, through his death. I mean, she was the first person who saw him um, in the resurrection. So I love her story. I love her story, and it motivates me um, to never want to leave Jesus. Yeah, so I have to say, she's probably my favorite saint. Yeah, I mean, just being involved in church has changed our lives completely and for better. You know, I don't imagine my life without just not coming to church or not being involved or not helping others. Um, it's made a great and beautiful impact in our marriage, in our kids, in the way we can communicate, the way we can see others, the way we can talk to others, the way we can help others. Um, and, you know, and we are fairly new, so I know we have lots to learn. But
Yes.
with the little that we do know, it's given our life like 180-degree change, 360. You know, it's just we feel like we were definitely born again, and we can see that in our kids, and that's very rewarding. You know, we've learned the importance to have God in our lives. You know, no matter the circumstances, always learn to be grateful for the good and the bad. You know, and like I said, we in the Hispanic community have a lot of help, a lot of support, a lot of ministries. They're all listed in the bulletin. There's a page there in the bulletin that it's nothing but in Spanish. So there's contact information for men's group, women's group, charismatic. If you want to take marriage prep or if you need to get married or whatever your situation may be, there is a lot of help and there is a lot of support, not just the Sunday Mass. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think it's just the Sunday Mass and that's all the church has to offer, but there is help and support and just a lot of things other than the Sunday Mass.
Yeah, I think it's we go back to the same thing. Just being involved. In our case, you know, the choir or doing marriage prep. Um, I think that is what keeps us going. You know, there's just like anybody else, hard days, you know, tough times, and um, you know, just staying active has helped tremendously. You know, we're not here to tell people that your life is going to be 100%, but it's much, much easier getting to know the Lord, getting to know His church, and everything the church has to offer. Um, that just makes life so much easier.